2 incredibly sweet and common fruits that help fight diabetes. Even doctors were shocked. When people hear the word diabetes, sweetness instantly becomes the villain. Bread is suspect, cake is a crime, and even fruit, nature's purest candy, gets banished from the plate like an outlaw. Millions live under the shadow of this fear, believing that one juicy bite is enough to unravel years of careful control. But nature, cunning as ever, loves to hide surprises where we least expect them. In recent years, some of the most stubborn doctors have had to admit that a few fruits, sweet, familiar, and shockingly common, are rewriting the story of how we manage blood sugar. Yes, sweet can heal too. This truth is so potent that it has left endocrinologists scratching their heads and revising decades of cautious advice. Prepare to meet 2 fruits that taste like indulgence but work like gentle medicine, proving once and for all that you don't have to live a life stripped of flavor just because your pancreas protests. Let's rewind to how fruit ended up in the nutritional doghouse in the first place. Decades ago, as processed foods exploded and waistlines expanded, researchers found that sugar, especially refined sugar, played a devastating role in metabolic diseases. In this panic, all sugars got swept into the same moral category. Bananas were frowned upon, grapes feared, apples questioned, and the once celebrated berry was eyed with suspicion. Juice aisles boomed while the humble fruit bowl gathered dust. Ironically, the sugar hidden in cereals and low-fat yogurts was doing far more damage than a handful of blueberries ever could. Scientists now understand this mistake and are urging people back to the orchard with fresh evidence. Let's begin with the unassuming star of countless breakfast parfaits, the blueberry. It's no accident that this tiny orb is sometimes called nature's metformin by nutrition geeks. Beneath its vibrant blue skin is an arsenal of anthocyanins, powerful compounds responsible for its deep color and its stealthy ability to make your cells more obedient to insulin's instructions. When your cells listen to insulin, sugar doesn't loiter in your blood causing chaos. Instead, it gets shuttled into your muscles and liver where it belongs. Clinical trials have confirmed that people who eat blueberries regularly experience notable improvements in insulin sensitivity. One study, which is practically folklore among dietitians, split overweight adults with insulin resistance into 2 groups. One group drank smoothies with real blueberries, while the other sipped look-alike drinks minus the berries. After 6 weeks, the blueberry group's cells behaved better, soaking up sugar like a thirsty sponge instead of letting it float dangerously around the bloodstream. But blueberries aren't just metabolic babysitters. They're fierce inflammation fighters too. Diabetes and inflammation are joined at the hip. Chronic low-grade inflammation makes it harder for insulin to do its job and damages the fragile inner lining of blood vessels, setting the stage for complications like kidney failure and blindness. Blueberries step in as a quiet peacekeeper, calming inflammatory pathways before they torch your tissues. Imagine your body's immune system as a neighborhood watch group that occasionally gets drunk and smashes windows in a panic. Blueberries keep this group sober and sensible. Dolores, a 68-year-old retiree from Akron, is living proof of this berry's quiet power. For years, Dolores did everything right. She cut out sweetened drinks, gave up midnight snacks, and walked 2 miles daily. Still, her HbA1c lingered at a frustrating 7.5%, flirting with the threshold where her doctor would push more medication. A friend at her church told her about blueberries, so Dolores skeptically swapped her nightly cookie for a generous bowl of frozen blueberries drizzled with plain Greek yogurt. Within 4 months, her next lab results stunned her physician. Her HbA1c had dropped to 6.7%, firmly in better controlled territory. No crash diets, no extra pills, just a handful of nature's candy, doing the quiet work science promised it could. If you want to copy Dolores's method, remember this. The magic comes from the whole berry, not the jam, not the muffin, not the pie. Those processed versions smother the berry's power in added sugar and cooked-out nutrients. Frozen blueberries are nearly identical to fresh ones because they're plucked at peak ripeness and flash frozen within hours. So when fresh berries skyrocket in price midwinter, don't feel guilty filling your freezer. Consistency matters more than quantity. Half a cup a day, taken as naturally as possible, can yield powerful results over time. Next, let's pay homage to a fruit so old it tempted Eve, but so underappreciated today it gets overshadowed by trendier superfoods. The apple. The phrase, "an apple a day keeps the doctor away," once sounded like quaint folklore. But modern science says Granny might have been onto something. Apples are rich in soluble fiber, specifically pectin, which forms a gel in your digestive tract. This slows the breakdown of food and blunts the rush of glucose into your bloodstream. A smoother rise means your pancreas doesn't have to frantically pump out insulin all at once. It can work steadily, efficiently, and with less stress. Polyphenols, especially quercetin and chlorogenic acid found in apple skins, deserve their own round of applause. They help regulate enzymes that digest carbohydrates too quickly. Essentially, they put the brakes on carb breakdown, giving your body more time to deal with sugar in a civilized manner rather than a mad dash. People often sabotage this benefit by peeling apples for convenience or to avoid pesticides. While concerns about chemicals are valid, a thorough wash or choosing organic apples is a smarter move than stripping away the very skin where these compounds are most potent. Michael, a 52-year-old father of two in Austin, Texas, used to battle stubborn afternoon spikes that made him drowsy and irritable at work. His endocrinologist advised him to eat an apple about 15 minutes before his sandwich or burrito at lunch. The soluble fiber and polyphenols acted like a pre-meal bouncer, moderating how fast his meal's starch turned into sugar. 3 months later, Michael's afternoon crashes were history. His boss even noticed he stopped nodding off in meetings. When asked about his secret, Michael just shrugged. "It's an apple. Nobody believes me until they try it." When choosing apples, tart varieties like Granny Smith or Braeburn slightly edge out sweeter ones like Fuji in fiber content and lower sugar levels, but don't get too hung up on the variety. Any whole apple is a better option than packaged sweets or sugar-free candy bars, which often replace real sugar with chemicals that can upset your gut and your glucose in unpredictable ways. And for heaven's sake, skip the apple juice aisle. Juice is just fruit stripped of its fiber, so it hits your bloodstream like a fistful of candy. Always chew your fruit, never drink it. Now, let's tackle a few lingering myths that hover around fruit and diabetes like stubborn ghosts. First, the myth that people with diabetes must avoid fruit altogether is outdated nonsense. Major diabetes associations worldwide, backed by decades of epidemiological data, confirm that eating whole fruit is associated with better blood sugar control and a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes in the first place. Juice and dried fruit are the troublemakers. Concentrated sugar without fiber means fast glucose spikes that even blueberries can't forgive. Second, some believe tropical fruits are off limits. While it's true that mangoes and pineapples have more natural sugar per serving than berries or apples, when eaten whole and paired with protein or healthy fat, they don't cause the catastrophe people fear. Moderation and balance are key. A few slices of fresh mango with cottage cheese is a world apart from drinking canned mango nectar. Lastly, dried fruit has its place, but must be treated like candy. A small handful of raisins packs the sugar equivalent of a whole bunch of fresh grapes. It's easy to mindlessly nibble until you've doubled your sugar intake for the day. If you adore dried fruit, measure it carefully and combine it with nuts or yogurt to slow absorption. So how do you build this wisdom into daily life without feeling like you're solving a calculus problem every time you eat? It's simpler than the diet industry wants you to believe. Start your morning with protein and fiber. Greek yogurt swirled with frozen blueberries is a breakfast that loves your pancreas. If you're an oatmeal fan, toss in raw or thawed blueberries at the end, not during cooking, to preserve antioxidants. Pack a crisp apple for your midday snack and eat it whole, unpeeled, slowly. Savoring each bite doesn't just help digestion, it helps your brain register fullness so you're less tempted to grab processed sweets later. Dinner doesn't need a fruit finale, but if you crave something sweet, a small bowl of fresh berries beats a store-bought dessert every time. Over a week, this gentle fruit habit quietly retrains your taste buds. Processed sweetness begins to taste artificial and cloying. Natural sweetness, with all its fiber and phytonutrients, starts to feel satisfying in a way a vending machine snack never could. People often ask, but what about medications? Won't fruit interfere with them? On the contrary, when consumed wisely and consistently, fruits like blueberries and apples can complement your medication by helping your body respond to insulin more efficiently. However, anyone on insulin or sulfonylureas should monitor blood sugar carefully, because adding more fiber-rich fruit can lower glucose levels more than expected. Adjustments might be needed, but only with your healthcare provider's supervision. Consider a simple 3-day fruit fix routine. On day 1, swap your sugary cereal for plain scrambled eggs and a bowl of blueberries. For lunch, add a whole apple to your normal meal. No complicated swaps, just an apple. By dinner, focus on protein and vegetables. On day 2, stir blueberries into overnight oats sweetened with cinnamon instead of sugar. Pack an apple for your mid-morning break. Have a protein-rich dinner with fish, lentils, or lean chicken. On day 3, blend a handful of frozen blueberries with spinach, a scoop of protein powder, and almond milk for a breakfast smoothie that beats anything in a store cooler. Keep your apple for an afternoon energy lift. Repeat, tweak, and adjust to your taste. Within weeks, you might find your cravings for processed sweets soften and your blood sugar numbers whispering their gratitude. Blueberries and apples aren't trendy, expensive superfoods. They're ordinary miracles, overlooked because we equate health with complicated regimens and expensive powders. But sometimes, the simplest habit, reaching for a handful of berries instead of a bag of cookies, rewrites your health story better than any shiny fad. So the next time someone tells you sweetness is forbidden, hand them an apple. Share your blueberry stash. Smile knowingly when they raise an eyebrow at your improved labs. Sweetness, when chosen wisely, doesn't destroy your health. It quietly repairs it. Even the most skeptical doctors are learning that now, one patient at a time. Legal and medical disclaimer. The information presented in this essay is intended for educational and informational purposes only and does not substitute professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult with your doctor or a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet, medications, or diabetes management plan. Individual results may vary. The author and publisher disclaim any liability for any harm or adverse effects resulting directly or indirectly from the application or use of any information contained herein. Viewer discretion is advised.